Welcome to another session of Pathways to Mental Well-Being, a journey from worry to wellness. I'm so glad to be here with you. My name is Nestor Bruno. I'm a psychologist, and we are going to talk today about dealing with change and loss. And welcome to planet Earth, by the way, because if you are here, you will experience at some point change, losses, unwanted ones especially. So let's go together through this presentation, connecting with our humanity, because changes and losses, they have a lot to do with our human existence. So first of all, let's make a difference here to understand this topic and also to make it maybe a healing time, what we are spending together today. So what is the difference that we are talking about? It's the difference between pain and suffering. Very important to understand the difference between the two of them. So we can say that pain, it's more objective, it's more, you can compare it, and maybe it can be physical and can be also psychological. Both we can consider pain. Now, suffering, the difference is that, first of all, is subjective. While pain can be objective, and I will give an example right away, suffering is subjective. It depends on the person, the context, the situation, and we will say a little bit more about that. We must not compare sufferings. The fact that I have been through a loss, for example, I lost a family member recently, and now a friend of mine lost also a family member, doesn't mean that I understand and I fully connect with the loss, or they understand and connect with my loss. We shouldn't compare, and we shouldn't think that I understand your suffering because I went through something similar, okay? And finally, a very important difference is that suffering is very connected with the narrative, the story that we tell ourselves. Sometimes we tell the truth, but as we tell the story, though it is true, it's not a good story. There are true stories that can be good also, and we will explain a bit more. So let's start with this difference, objective versus subjective. Imagine that we are playing volleyball, and both of us, you and me, we break a couple of fingers as we are going to hit the ball. We break a couple of fingers. I don't play instruments. Maybe some of you do play instruments. So we go to the doctor. I have my couple of fingers broken. You too. So you are thinking, oh, I won't be able now to play the piano and my guitar. I'm not thinking about that because I don't play any instruments. So we are there at the doctor, and the nurse comes and says, okay, how much pain do you feel, Nestor? They ask me. I say, oh, probably 6 or 7. They ask you, and you say, oh no, I feel a 9 or 10. You see that pain can be objectified and it can be compared. We both broke our fingers. I feel a 6 or 7, you feel a 9 or 10. So we can compare pain, especially physical pain. Now, what about the suffering? We get home with all the things that nurses and doctors do. We take our medication. But now you are experiencing the suffering of not being able to play your instrument. That maybe was a wonderful moment during the day. It was therapeutic for you to play. You are suffering because you cannot play. And me, I'm not suffering that because I never played an instrument. So you see that sufferings are subjective. They have to do with the person, the situation, just like we explained. Another thing that we need to understand comparing pain with suffering is the story we tell ourselves. The story with the pain in our hands is we were playing volleyball, we broke a couple of fingers. That's why I feel pain. But Then the story that we tell ourselves when we feel, oh, I cannot play my instrument, maybe I will be never able again to have the strength that I need in my hand to play properly my instrument. And I was dreaming about having a career as a musician. Then, you see, the story we tell ourselves can make the suffering grow or can make the suffering be much more bearable and easier to deal with. So the story we tell ourselves, so important. There is something that is also important to understand is that research shows that psychological pain, the places in the brain that process psychological pain and connect with that pain overlap with regions that involve also physical pain. So psychological pain it's a reality. It's a physiological reality. We should never underestimate psychological pain. We need to do something about it. Now, I would like to work with you a moment to understand the difference between changes and losses. They are not the same psychologically speaking, but when we go through change, we can go through it as a grieving process. But anyways, they are not the same. So let's see the difference. Wherever you are, take a piece of paper, a pen. Maybe you are with a group, do it together. And write a sentence that starts with, I have to. Could be anything. And you can write more than one sentence. If you can write up to 3, even better. So I have to, and just think about something that comes to your mind. What do you have to? Think about 1, 2, maybe 3 things that you feel that you have to. You can pause the video and work on that. And once you have it, now I would like to ask you to draw a line dividing the 1, 2, or 3 sentences that you just wrote. And now write underneath the line again exactly the same sentences, but starting with I choose to. Exactly the same, just change the first part and rewrite the whole sentence. See how it feels. The same thing you said at the top, now rewriting it with I choose to. I choose to. I choose to. Does it feel different? Just as I was saying it, I felt different. And we are talking about the same things. But emotionally, we connect to these sentences in a different way. Why is that? Well, that difference in feelings that you just experienced when you said the same thing in one way, I have to, and the other way, I choose to, that difference in feeling is the difference between when we choose and we go for a change. It can be difficult, but I'm choosing it. Emotionally, it's different. And changes I do not choose, and we call them grieving processes. So that's the difference in the emotional connection when I choose and when I do not choose. It's interesting that there are 6 stages in both processes. If you're going through a change, you want to lose weight, you want to start going to the gym, you want to learn a new language. If you're going through a change that you chose, that's very different than going through a change that you did not choose, like losing your job, losing a loved one, losing your health. But both processes have 6 stages. Okay? Let's work a little with that. The process of change was studied by Prochaska, Di Clementi, and Norcross, 3 researchers, and they created a model to understand change. First, we have no idea that we need to change. That's the pre-contemplation stage. I don't know I need to change. I don't care about changing. I won't change. The second stage, we start having some idea. Yes, probably I do need to change because my weight is going up because I'm smoking and I'm starting to feel in my lungs, in my health, maybe I need to change. But I don't do anything yet. That's the contemplation stage. Then preparation. That's the moment that you say, okay, I do need to change. And you start asking friends, how did they lose weight? How did they change jobs? You ask for advice, but you did not change anything yet. And then the moment comes, action. Okay, finally, you do something different. And with that action, if things go well, comes maintenance. When you keep doing and keep going in the direction of your change. Now, after you connected with action and maintenance, what is the sixth stage? Stage number 6. If you were here in front of me, I would ask you, what do you think is the name of the 6th stage? What would you say? Well, I like asking this because normally we come up with many ideas, but we never connect with the one that these 3 researchers found. They call the 6th stage relapse. Because in many cases, part of our change, our process is relapsing, but we are talking about change. Why do you say that relapse is part of changing? Well, because people that change, immediately after a relapse, they go back to stage number 4, action. So we relapse, we look at it, we learn from the relapse, and then we go back to action. And with that learning, we keep going in the direction of change. But this happens when we choose to change. We are excited, motivated. Even when relapse comes, we keep going, and finally we change. Now let's connect with those moments when we do not choose and life gets tough. There was someone that studied the stages of grieving, the grieving process. Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross gathered these 6 stages. So let's go through them. Now we are talking about those moments we did not choose. First one, we are in denial. This cannot be happening to me. I cannot believe that this happened. No, this is not real. We are just in shock. We cannot believe that this diagnosis is actually talking about us. We cannot believe that we are the ones that just lost the one that we love the most. And it looks surreal. We cannot connect with it. We are in that state of denial. After that, we go into many times anger. Why to me? Why now? Why to him? Why is this happening? Anger towards God, towards ourselves, towards life, anger. And at some point, we might be bargaining with God and saying, Lord, if you do this for me, this miracle, I will always serve you. Or we think, okay, if I survive, I will change everything. So we start that process of bargaining. And at some point, after we were in shock, denial, and all of that, we finally connect with the reality and we get really sad, sometimes even depressed because of what is happening or what happened. And after that sadness and depression, maybe we get to the point of acceptance. And sometimes we test if we can accept and we come back. But maybe at some point we finally accept that this actually happened and happened to us. And with that acceptance, hopefully, we will connect with purpose. Many foundations, many good causes started after very sad. So maybe we find purpose and we say, okay, I will take everything that I went through to do something for others. I will learn from it and I will find purpose, helping others, for example. So very different pathways. When we choose change, we go through these 6 stages of change. When we do not choose We call it grieving, and we have to deal with the difficult path of grieving. But hopefully, at the end, both will get us to a healthy place. And to go through this process, we need support, we need others, and we also need to connect with how we feel. And take all these stages as stations. Sometimes when you are in a train and you are traveling someplace, you go through stations. Take them as a natural way of connecting with a process that takes stations. Well, I hope that we can connect with our changes and losses in a better way, and we can also help others understanding that we all go through different stages.